Jawn is getting up there in episodes. Number 65 tonight. On all stations and shown pay-per-view at large theater chains. All I know about tonight is I have to pick up a large box at Mr. Moore's and gingerly carry it to the secret broadcast lair where we mix up the medicine. Should I make guesses? Throw out speculations? Hazard a shot in the dark hoping to find truth? Nah. I think I'm going to wait and discover the mysteries held within with the rest of you. If it's food you're all more than welcome to some, sort of, don't eat too heavily before the show. The weather is changing for the fairer and we hope you all are able to get out and move around in grass and trees and muddy fields full of dogs and cows, but we also hope you know that at 7 o'clock on Thursday, if you like it live, you better be at the controls ready to embark on a journey around the inside of a piano and the outside of an orchestra. It'll all make sense once you know how to spot the clues. Episode 65. Not yet in the books.
Three little frogs sitting on a log, one of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get her. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can swim. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log, one burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one laughed until he is red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn.
And we're live! Yes, we did it again! I cannot believe this technology. What a miracle this is. From here to there. Welcome to Jabber Jawn. I'm Nathan Moore. This is Kyle Hogg. This is Steve Moore. Jabber Jawn, at your service. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today.
You didn't introduce Jay Dilla and what's all the names on your show?
He's the man behind the curtain. X-Nay.
I've got a complaint.
Oh, good.
My gosh. We thought they were going to end once the show started.
I forgot.
This will be his third one today so far, just so y'all know.
He was calling me at work all day today with complaints.
Actually, I have nothing to complain about.
I hear you have a new theme song.
A theme song?
Yeah, that they keep playing on the radio on repeat.
Yeah, I don't want to explain all that.
No.
Let's stay away from that. I don't even want to start talking about those people.
I met Iron and Wine once. What's his real name?
Oh my God, what is it?
Oh, wait a minute. Is Iron and Wine one person?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a group.
Do you know his name, Lex? I like how you're summoning that information from the ether. That's like how it works.
Let's see.
Hold on.
Let's see. I was rolling a joint for both of us, and I was trying to remember what the name of it was.
He's getting an S and an A and M. Okay, Sam?
I'm trying to remember how it happened.
It's
but
very plain name, yeah.
He appeared on the Hippie Fiasco live stream. Only in the sense that we went to the show and we had backstage access. So there's a moment on the stream where I go up and hand him one of the We Got a Lemon Hippie Fiasco business cards, and holding the live stream, and he was on it.
Wow.
Pretty neat. I tried to tell him a brief little rundown of what we were doing, but it was a chaotic moment. But it was pretty. I'm trying to remember how we got into the show, how we got backstage. We must have had friends opening for him or something.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
Well, yeah, it's not really that cool. I mean, you just got backstage pass.
You don't think that's cool?
No, I used to get them all the time.
Yeah.
I used to, when I traveled out west, and there was a band out there that liked me, and I used to hang out with them.
Called the Beatles?
No, the Amusement.
Oh, the music,
They were
yeah.
called
Man, I've never heard a son say something and say it's cool, and the father say that's not cool. Dad, you wouldn't believe how much fun I had.
Well,
That's
You
not
never
cool.
had too many fathers running the main arguments over what's cool and what's not. You know, we've had our share of those.
I had a very pleasant visit from David Tiller last Friday.
Really?
Yeah, speaking of the amusement.
Going through town?
The amusement's been popping up a lot. On my late night, the practice live streams that I've been doing, there's been some old amusement fans that have been watching and requesting
really?
all these songs that I can't remember at all.
Wow.
Last night they wanted My Death Comes a Calling.
Oh my goodness.
So
I'd like to hear that myself.
I tried to do it. It's probably been 20-some years, and I do not have that kind of energy anymore.
Wow.
It was funny. I ended up playing the record version, and it was just so funny hearing my young voice. I was like,
are there some songs that you wouldn't be able to do or wouldn't do again because of that?
Well, a lot of them I just dropped to a lower key.
Right.
I just can't hit those notes the way I could anymore.
But you were talking about the energy too. There's some of them you don't have that same energy.
I feel like I need like a nice little low-keyed, brooding folk version of that song. I might need to completely radically update it if I want to get it back into the canon. But it was funny. I ended up aboard. I just played the record version, and just hearing my young voice, I was relishing the fact that a lot of people suffer because they can't do what they used to do when they were young.
Definitely.
I am glad I can't do what I used to do when I was young. I'm just so thankful I can't do that anymore.
Explain that a little bit.
I don't know what I was trying to, I hadn't found my voice yet. I was putting way too much energy into it. I was affecting my voice, trying to be Tom Waits or something.
You were learning.
I was learning, yeah. But I'm just saying, one of the things I enjoy about being me is I don't really romanticize my youth the way other people do. I feel like I'm better now than I've ever been and going the right direction. I don't look back on that, except for the verbosity. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is.
the prolific verbosity.
It's a great word.
That is not a bad word. Yeah. But the prolific verbosity of my songwriting is something I do envy from my youthful days.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's the
my performance style, my voice, my delivery of songs, I can't even listen to it. I love singing today, so that's...
You know, what's the difference there? I'm not saying there isn't. But I'm thinking, what's the difference between someone saying that about their athletic career and saying, I'd rather remember when I played for the Lakers than when I was in middle school and didn't make the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in other words, it's an evolution too. That you
for
would
sure, but
would
the
expect.
athlete also can no longer compete.
He can't play like he used to.
Whereas I've always thought that's one of the saving graces of authors and artists. Like, maybe in the rock and roll world, there's a bit of an athleticism to it that you can't do anymore. But there's no reason why you can't just continue to evolve as an artist into your older golden years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of the luxuries of that. Although, I remember a great Bob Dylan interview where he's talking about looking back at like when he was like, "It's Alright Mom, Only Bleeding," and writing songs like that, and he's like, I don't understand how I did that. I can't do that anymore. I can do something else, but I can't do that. I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, it was
just a lot of words.
Yeah, yeah. That's That ability to bring words together and give meaning to something in a different way is a gift, I think.
I just read something where Charlie Chaplin was at some kind of function and he read a joke and everybody laughed. And then he said it again and like some people laughed. And he said it again like nobody laughed. They're like, why does he keep repeating this joke? He said, jokes and humor should be like things that you want to forget about. Like you enjoy it the first time, you can think about it again and it has no meaning to you really. Your past and the bad things should be the same way. You should sort of let them go and not let them affect you, just like you wouldn't have. Humor doesn't affect you over and over and over. You shouldn't let bad things. Not that your career was a bad thing at all, but
it's beautiful.
Like
idea.
you shouldn't like you should appreciate what you had, not be like, oh my God, I was trying to do too much or whatever.
Right.
Or even if you realize that, just move on and don't let it drag you down or whatever.
That is I mean, what I went to when you were saying that was just how like some of the things we're haunted by can seem to grow in their impact each time we think of them. Where all those things should be like jokes,
Right.
where a joke gets less funny every time you hear it,
right.
and the things that are bad should sting, hurt less
instead of getting worse. And
right.
worse.
It would be great if a joke got funnier every time you told it. I was always like that with jokes performing. Like I could never. I always crack myself up the most the first time I
Right.
thought of it. Like, oh my God, that was so funny. I would try to do it the next night, and I didn't think it was funny because I already knew it was coming. The
Right.
night before, it surprised me, but I tried to make it part of the act. I was like, I should keep that.
Right.
And I just some songwriters, storytellers are much better at that. They can repeat the same stories, same jokes
Right.
over and over again and perfect them. For me, they just lose that initial spontaneous luster. And I think that probably the biggest laughs I ever got was they were just laughing at me because I found what I said so funny. And as I waned and found that thing less funny, there was less contagious.
Wait a minute, so
laughter.
this was stuff that you would like think of during the show and you'd remember it for the next show?
Yeah,
God, you
you'd
got
be
a
like,
good memory.
yeah, you'd
Or did it score so you thought, all right, maybe I'll use this in the
right,
next
you
show?
get a laugh,
Okay.
and you're like, oh, I got to say that again.
Right.
That really worked. And there's a couple of things that do sort of just become part of the repertoire, but never like. I know I've asked you this before, but did you ever read Todd Snyder's book?
No.
I should lend you that. It's a really great book, and I feel like I've said
What's
this
the
on the
name
show.
of it?
Oh goodness, what is the name of that book?
I'm a big Todd Snyder fan.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with Todd Snyder. Is he an author or a singer?
He's a songwriter and a great storyteller.
Okay.
Like he's famous for he'll ramble about introducing a song and go on for like 20 minutes. And like his bootlegs are huge little great underground scene. Like, oh my God. But he's one of the ones that in his book he talks about just walking around a track and telling a story over and over until he gets the rhythm. And and I remember Arlo Guthrie was like that, like when you're hearing it, you feel like he's being extemporaneous, and this is just for us or whatever. But if you go to Roanoke and see him the next night, he's going to tell that exact same story and make everybody feel like they're hearing it for the first time, like he's telling it for the first time. It's such an art. So I tried to do that in that proud tradition, and diminishing returns every time.
Have y'all heard this before?
I've had some great storytelling. There's a version of Rolling Home on YouTube where I tell this whole story about the piece of glass in my foot and living in the tree and going to the park. The whole story of the birth of Rolling Home, and I'm just like, that is just really. I'm so proud of that whole storytelling thing. and it had a great flow. It had a dynamic. I toured with this piece of glass in my foot that was in there for 7 years, and then it started coming out. I couldn't even put a shoe, but there was all these things, all these little callbacks. It was just one of my best storytelling moments of all time, and I'm so glad that it's on camera. But if I ever try to do that repeatedly, I don't know. It's a fascination of mine.
Yeah, I have an observation about
Please.
that. Yeah, I think you can think about that with a lot of different types of learning. Do you learn by rote and try to reproduce it, like you were saying, with walking around, memorizing? The memorizing versus the extemporaneous, where you allow other things to come in. One's very controlled,
Right.
and you're set narrowly down this path. And your way of doing it, and the way I used to teach, you were more open. I wasn't, I had my path, and that's the story, but I had side roads.
Right.
But if someone's really trying to do it the other way, those side roads are detours, or they dissuade, they keep you from getting where you want to go. So you try to reject those. So you try to keep it into that area. But you can apply that to a lot of different types of learning, I think, to what you're saying about how you do how you think and how you do things.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gotcha, especially now, like in the old, say 40 years ago, if you wanted to study something, you would get a book or something, you were pretty much focused. Now on the internet, I can look up something, and an hour later I look, and I'm so far off what I was looking at. I'm like somewhere down, and it's totally different. Like, wait a minute, I was looking up the Iron and Wine and Fiona Apple song. Now I'm, watching the NBA finals. It's like, what in the world? Like, it's so
How
hard.
did I wind
it's
up
so
here?
hard to stay focused now.
Yeah. On the other hand, if you look at it from my perspective, it's amazing how you need to appreciate the fact that, like, for instance, I was thinking last night about words. You wonder where they come from, and I was thinking about chump.
Chump.
Did somebody yell that at you when you're walking?
Well, all right. I was calling myself a chump for my behavior in a social situation.
You're calling yourself a chump.
And
You're like, what do I mean by that exactly?
I was a chump. If there was people, it's like that old line about the poker game. If you look around, you can't find the chump. It's you.
All right.
And I was thinking, in this whole thing that I'm going through here, I'm the chump. And now, what the hell is a chump?
What the hell is a chump?
And it was
hell
interesting
am I?
because what do you get? You got champ up here, and then chimp, which is not even a human being. It's a mere primate. So you've got these two extremes, and you come up with chump, which is defined as someone who is easily fooled, which was last week's word that I never got to mention. I've been fascinated by fools, because the verb and the noun, to fool, you fool somebody, but if you get fooled, you're a fool.
Right.
It's crazy.
I wonder what other examples of that there are.
I know, it's hard to say. But going back to the other one, that one came in 1872, was just made up. It didn't have Middle English. It didn't have, somebody just started calling people chumps.
And it stuck.
So you're not a champ, you're a chump. And I bet it just stuck. And people started calling them chump, because when you say you're a chump, you know it can't be good.
Right.
So
You can feel it.
You can feel that chump is a derogatory statement. So, but my point was, before I started talking about chump, my point was, what's amazing is I sat right there. As soon as I made up this word chump, I hit Google, and it gave me the entire background and history of it.
Yes.
And it's right there.
Next thing you know, he's watching NBA finals.
And I could get onto the ball game immediately.
Get back to what was important.
I got Percy to define chump in our Discord server here. apparently another meaning is the thick end, especially of a piece of wood or a joint of meat.
Damn, let me get that chomp.
A dated form of chomp. Intransitive, to bite or chew loudly or heavily.
A blockhead.
A blockhead. A gullible person, a sucker, someone easily taken advantage of, someone lacking common sense.
Damn chump.
If you're looking around the poker table and you can't figure out who the chump is, you're the chump. That's highlight that one. Just some wisdom here being dropped on Jabber John. Heather, good to see you. Mike, welcome to the show. Saul, welcome everybody. Elizabeth, it's arrived. We got a special gift in the mail. It's very, very exciting. Should we do this?
I think I'm ready.
Oh, just real quick, going back to the storytelling and it being different all the time is just so funny because I was thinking of, always was amazed by I looked up the word eloquence in the Dictionary of Word Origins, or I forget how it came to me, but apparently the original definition of eloquence, it comes from two words. That's where two things meet. It's like a joint, like your elbow or whatever. It's where two things meet. So in that sense, it's sort of interesting because I always thought of someone could be eloquent all by themselves, but they can't. It's where the storyteller and the listener connect. That you achieve eloquence probably differently with every listener.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way that sounds. It's a good thought.
Sounds like something a chump would read.
So this is a long time coming. I don't even know if there's a story to tell or how to tell it. I know it all started at Lost Sierra Hoedown, where Lex and I first met Elizabeth, I believe. And then it progressed during the pandemic and during all the live streams that we were doing. And a lot of people were hanging out in Discord and listening to the music and doing stuff at arts and crafts or whatever they were doing at home. And Elizabeth started painting this painting of me from the Lost Sierra Hoedown when I was sitting in the woods wearing this bear head. And it was funny, during the pandemic, somehow or another, that bear head got sent to Stanton. And I don't even remember how that happened, how this guy got here. But I do believe we actually have some footage from the original moment when someone put this bear head on me when I was singing. And pay particular attention to this because there's a really cute moment at the end. I'm wearing this bear head. I'm singing my song Iowa in the woods with Zookeeper and Swabertooth. We're all hanging out. And this little kid, I didn't even see them, but this little kid has wandered close. And I take a break from singing and I pull the bear head off, and this little kid, like super serious, is like, "That is not a bear." As soon as it sees my, and he's upset that he was a chump. basically, the fool fooled him and made him a fool himself. Poor little guy. Just check this out. Here's a little origin story. This is.
That poor kid was feeling the eloquence, and you had to ruin it.
That's right. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but check this out. I am not high on the hog. I hate to admit it. I've been looking up. Strange things are falling down on my love. All that I got, I gave to Iowa. All that I got, I gave to Iowa. Someday I want it back. I wish I remembered the chant at the end.
I was trying to remember too if I could do it for you, but I don't remember it.
He's not a bear. Did you think that was a bear too?
No, it's just me. Look at how serious.
It's like things are getting a little strainer
That's
on there.
amazing. Adorable. I feel terrible for ruining the illusion. Guitar.
Must be Yogi Bear.
Oh, innocence is so beautiful. All right.
Now, if this doesn't look like a hostage situation, somebody with a Bears mask on, open up a box. And remember, send us $1 million.
We're going to incorporate this into the set back here. That's the plan.
This is called Dadaist artwork for the. All right, it's getting exciting.
Woo, bubble wrap. Oh, let's just pop all the bubbles for the rest of the
I
show.
got the box.
Oh, does that satisfy you? You like doing that?
Yeah, I do like that. We want to see the painting. There were no chunks. Is it a painting or what type of artwork is it? We'll have to find out.
It's a painting. I got to see it being born. Elizabeth was live painting at La Sierra when we were playing there. Yes!
Oh my gosh, so cool.
Oh, and there's beautiful words on the back. I'll read that later.
Wow.
Dang. Oh no, that was you right off the bat.
Has my kazoo with the bear claw. There's actually a bear claw on my kazoo.
That's a good
I
album
love it.
That's a good album cover right there.
I know, right? Could do like a.
That's
If I ever make a children's record, that'll be the the cover of it.
children's,
The
album,
other day.
children's album title. That's no bear.
That's no bear. Oh my goodness. I love how shiny it is. That is so fun. Thank
That's
you so
beautiful.
much.
Great job. Great job. Man, look at that. We're rearranging the whole thing now for you. Oh, that's awesome.
Look at that.
God, it's sort of looking scary back there. It's all like these fire background pictures.
Oh yeah, with the light on it too.
And even that one of mine looks like some kind of fire in the background.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you
great
so
job.
much.
What a wonderful gift.
Very fun.
Wow. That is very nice.
Some good action in the Discord
That's
now.
very
Silas,
special.
welcome to the show. Cool.
Wow.
Very cool.
Should I clean up the clutter and is it messing up
So,
the...
so when was this show that she started painting it? Was it like 20 years ago or 5 years ago?
I don't know, Elizabeth. If you're in there, you should refresh that memory. When did you begin that? I remember I was doing American Night Owl. So it was my late night streaming show for a long time, and I would just get loops going and be rocking out. And there was a few different painters that would paint in the Discord while I was singing my music, and it was fun because it became just this interactive multimedia thing. And I would put if you were watching the show, you would see these people painting at home in their studios and stuff. And a lot of it was during the pandemic and stuff, so we all got really creative with how to do things. But
I hear there's a group of people out there that like to, when Jabberjohn's on, they like to paint, paint the bathroom.
right, yep.
And sometimes they'll do the kitchen.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
They'll have us on. Yeah.
My mic is recharging, folks.
Oh, it died? Oh, sorry about
Jay Della.
that. I was,
God, so where was that sent from? Do you know? Where's that person from?
West Coast.
West Coast. Wow. Things traveled the whole width of the United States.
Yep.
Very cool. Looks nice.
feel like I should be wearing my kazoo.
I like the textures of it.
I do too. I didn't realize it would be so shiny. I like that. Like it has some
Man, y'all are spoiling
like a
Nathan
sealer
now.
over top of it. Yeah, I feel pretty good.
And don't worry about me and Mr. Moore. We're just two chumps sitting here.
Somebody had a song out there one time called "Everybody Plays the Chump."
Mm.
Yep.
Well, Heather in the chat said, by the way, I think the Todd Snyder book is called The Storyteller.
The Storyteller. Well, that makes sense. Not the least bit creative.
So I got to say, I'm very pleasantly surprised by you two's shiny, cheerful demeanor after the text earlier today. I thought y'all were both going to be messes.
Well, personally, I'm coming out of a depression. So if I was still in the depression that I was in a few days ago, I probably wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm coming out of it.
That's so good.
And I recognize it. I saw myself healing. It started Saturday morning. I invented another word doing this the other day, thinking about my situation. I call it, it's a technical term that they use in the field. It's diarrhea depression.
Mm.
And you get diarrhea and you get depressed, or you get depressed and you get diarrhea.
Ah.
And we don't know which
Chicken
one.
or the egg kind of thing.
It's a chicken or the egg kind of thing. Well, you know what I figured out?
What?
I invented a new word.
What?
Chegg.
Chegg?
Chegg. C-H-E-G-G.
G. Yeah.
It's a chegg. There's no chicken and no egg.
What came first? The chegg.
They come together, they grow out of each other and explode out.
I like that.
Wow.
It's not a chick. It looks like it's chicken and the egg, but it's just a creation.
And it explodes out into diarrhea?
In this particular
Explosive.
in the general sense, no, but in my specific case, yes. Exactly.
Wait a minute, so no.
Now, not all diarrhea is depressive diarrhea.
Right.
There's lots of kids and dying of diarrhea.
Now, to take this, I know you're dead serious, but to take this really dead serious, so like, what's an example of a chegg? Or like, how would you use it in a sentence?
Well, lots of things in your life that happen. The one word is serendipitously. They just come out and hit like lightning, like when a tornado hits your house. Those people in the Midwest, every morning I see the utter destruction of those people. And, you know, they're out right now and getting hit right now. And is that did you do something to cause it? Or what did you do first? What could I have done? No, it's a chegg.
Okay.
It's just, it was just going to happen. Something weird was going to happen, and that was the weird thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to figure it out, the whole issue is a lot of times it's based on it. Like every time there's a guy that goes in and kills a bunch of people, they spend 10 minutes on the news trying to figure out why he did it. Well, that's because we want answers. We want there to be a chicken and an egg. We want but there aren't always, those things aren't knowable, or they're not worth knowing, or they're not even valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times they're just not valid. It doesn't happen that way. I had three things come together. The other thing that happened was the weather went from being beautiful 80 degrees to rainy all weekend, or not really rainy, just acting like it was going to rain any minute.
Mm-hmm.
It was foreboding. So was it the weather that caused my depression, that caused my diarrhea? It was I came up with it probably was my diarrhea
that caused the weather.
Caused the weather.
Yeah. I was saying to Catherine just the other day, I mean,
It's my diarrhea that caused the rain.
When my girlfriend left me, it hailed for 3 days. All right, I'm through for a while.
It was great. I'm so glad you're feeling better.
Well, thank you. I needed to feel better, but you know, we were talking about that with creativity and things that you know. Well, I want to say this to all of my friends that get depressed, because there's a lot of us out there. We run into it. The thing that hit me in my 50s that I realized that has helped me along that way was that in the middle of a depression, the key word, I think, is hopeless. You don't see it. You think you're at the bottom and nobody can pull you out, and you don't even really want to get out anymore. You know, there's your nice depression, and you're right there comfortable with it. When you're down there, what I realized at a certain age, just was from living life, was it's going to end. This feeling is going to end, and eventually you'll not be depressed. And it's the depression that's got you down here. You're down here being depressed, but the world isn't like that. You have to reach out of there, and you don't have to really do anything. Every time I go through a depression, it has a cycle, and then I come out of it. And usually, when I come out of it, I've learned something valuable, and it's become, as an artist, you learn from them, hopefully.
Hopefully, right.
So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not something you want to stay in any longer than you're supposed to stay in it. And there is a certain time limit.
So you think that maybe it serves some kind of purpose? Like it has a role?
Oh, I think it's like the tides, the ebb and flow. I think it's hard to go up unless you have some backwash, you know. And I think there's that for every up, there's a dip, and the emphasis should be, because when we talk about manic depression, that's when it goes too far each way. So you're not, you want to manage it so you're in between as much as possible. So coming out or going in, but being down and up, neither one of those are where you really want to be.
I know from writer's block that it's amazing, no matter how many times I've gone through it, where I just can't write, and I feel like I've said everything I've ever had to say, and there's nothing new under the sun, and I just can't. I'll never write again. It always feels like I'll never be able to write again. Like even though I've gone through it before and I did write again, I never learned that lesson. The feeling is still the same, and it's so sad, and I just feel like it's over and I can't do it anymore. And then one day a song pops out and I'm healed.
Yep.
And it always catches me a little bit by surprise. I'm always just so grateful that that's over. And but the thing that's just amazing to me is how I never learn. I even tell myself, like, oh, you'll write again. Like, but I'm just like, shut up. Like, it's over. Like, I just don't learn.
Now, how long does that last for usually?
They get a little longer the older I get, which makes it even a little bit more daunting. And maybe that happens with depression. Like maybe.
I think you can go in a lot of different. I think everybody handles it differently, and the results are different. But it's a very common feeling.
That is it common that the bouts get a little longer as
that I don't have any data on. I don't really know that one way or the other. I tend to think they probably get better or they get worse, depending on how you're doing.
I'm sure my writer's block is just a writer's version of depression.
It sounded like it, as you described the characteristics. It sounded like it, but I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a sequence that's similar to depression. Let's put it that way.
You sound like a little bit of a mess too in the text chain. How you doing?
I just was a little bit out of control for a week.
What do you mean?
Yes.
What was that?
That sounds like fun.
You know, my good friend Bill rolled into town on Friday, so we went out and saw a bunch of the downtown jam stuff.
Oh yeah, it was fun, huh?
And then it just, reaches a point where you can't remember what's going on anymore, and you don't feel so good the next morning.
Right. So
Yeah.
just
But
too much of a good thing.
Talking about it's sort of like we were out and had a good time, and then when I go home, I'm alone. It is sort of depressing. Like, oh man, this is sort of, all this good time meeting people and talking to people and everybody giving you stuff, and then you wake up, you're like, oh, it's back to work. Not really depression, but like, oh man, the world's going back to what I know.
Right. I'm taking a moment to commend Stanton Jams. Felt like they really worked
so good.
hard. They every time they do it, they keep elevating it and taking it another step up. Seemed like there's a lot more vendors involved. There was music everywhere, and even though the weather didn't cooperate, a lot of times that kind of adversity creates little cool situations and people coming together to get out of the weather. A lot of times that creates a lot of beautiful things in and of itself. Just everywhere I looked, it seemed like Stanton Jams is a true statement.
We had the best time running from bricks to the car in the pouring down rain. It's weird how you can be having the best time and rain just adds a bit of something to it.
You got a little war story.
Makes you feel like you're in a movie.
We're alive. Let's go.
What should the next movie we watch together be?
I don't know.
Any suggestions in the chat out there? What should be the next movie Jabber John reviews? Those are always fun. I wonder if there's anything coming to the Stanton theaters that is on any of our lists. I don't have any idea what the new movies are at the moment. Haven't heard much talk of anything.
No.
I haven't either. I don't keep up with movies. I used to go see every single movie. Sometimes I'll watch movies on TV now that I saw like in the 80s and 90s. Like, I actually went and saw this at the theater. Like back in the day, we would just go like basically see any movie that came out. Especially going up in Stanton, there wasn't that much to do. Like Working Girl with Melanie Griffith. Like, let's go see that. Then I'm watching it now. Like, we went and paid money to see that. Not that it's a bad movie, but like, why did I go see this movie? Like so many movies will just come on. I'll be flipping the TV. Like, God, I saw that in the theater. What was wrong with me?
What was wrong with me?
Because we didn't have videos back then. Like we didn't have. I guess maybe VHS.
I remember when
tapes
cable
was just
TV came out.
Yeah.
I love how much we've gotten to experience as far as the technology and everything.
But it was also back then when you saw a movie, nobody else could bullshit you and say, "Oh yeah, I saw it too." Like you had to go to the movies and pay and sit there. You didn't just wake up in the middle of the night one time it was on TV and you watched the last 45 minutes of it or something. You actually sat through the whole thing down there. Oh.
And if you saw the movie and none of your friends did, you had this you had this sacred knowledge.
Yeah.
They would gather around you as you
Tell us what happened. Yeah.
regaled them with this glorious tales.
And then my ring roll showed a little bit of bra strap. You wouldn't believe it. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
I saw a meme earlier today that was like, I was alive during a time that if you got upset with someone in a phone call, you could slam the phone down on them. It was glorious. It just hang up hard. It was so satisfying. There's just no version of that with this that won't just break your own property. There's no satisfying. Can't just slam the phone down on somebody.
How do you hang up on somebody now? There's no, it's just a click, the thing ends, you just keep talking for 30 seconds.
It's the same as if you weren't upset at all.
So they just keep talking, like, are you still there? You're still there?
Yeah.
Man, we should invent an app. You can probably invent an app or something for the slam
Oh,
sound.
oh yeah, that's like my car.
I'm gonna put the slammer on you.
All right, I'm adding that to my list right next to two horns in a car, one that's friendly and one that's a little bit more aggressive. So if someone's just not noticing a light, you. Whereas if someone crosses and cuts you off, you're like, got two horns. We need two horns. And yeah, a little
The slammer.
slammer, the slammer app.
I'm sending you to the slammer.
Oh, I must have upset them. Do you ever do that on a phone call?
Do what?
Just upset, just back in the old,
had to.
old school days of phones.
Yeah.
Or, what's it called? I feel like I'm missing a phrase.
Just hanging up on something.
No, hanging up on someone.
Yeah, that's
Is
bad.
that really slamming it down though?
Not
What is that called?
necessarily. Yeah,
You had
Of course.
You had to have done that.
I'm sure I did. Yeah.
Did you
Not that
laugh?
you would
Did you
remember.
laugh
I
afterwards?
don't remember it, but
Right, a specific instance, but just
No.
in general. That
no, I
option.
don't have any memory. I was never violent with phones. I didn't like phones. I didn't like talking into them and thinking that I represented me. I don't think anybody that ever hears their voice the first time on a tape recorder likes it. I guess John Ho did, but
That's a bump for locals here. He was the only person we know that like heard his voice for the first time on a recording. It was like, wow, I sound pretty good.
that'll work.
That'll work.
That'll work. Just mail me my law degree. I can talk. Like,
It is funny though, that phenomenon of most people when they first hear themselves recorded are
Why is
shocked
that?
and
It's terrible. It's horrifying. I mean, when I hear it, it makes me never want to speak again.
exactly.
I just want to go and I'll just write letters and just hand you little notes of paper
That's
or something.
exactly the way I feel. I don't.
Damn, he sounds terrible when he can't spell either. He's got a bad situation.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you all the story of when I took a vow of silence living in New Mexico? Have I told that story?
I don't know.
I used to do this pretty often, but I would take a vow of silence for a number of days and just like, I'm not going to speak. And, just trying to expand my consciousness. And,
Did you
and
tell
do things.
everybody that you
And I would have a pad if I would, my close friends and stuff, I'd be like, I'm about to do a vow of silence, just so y'all know. But for strangers and stuff, and it was always really fascinating, and I recommend it, especially for young people, to try it. One thing I thought that was pretty interesting is that the things that were the most painful not to say were things better left unsaid, almost without fail.
Wow.
Because there would be times in your life where like you would want to break the vow of silence, but it was usually when you're upset or something. And in retrospect, I was always like, well, it's a good thing I was on a vow of silence because I would have said the wrong thing. The hardest times to maintain the vow of silence was when I desperately wanted to say something that was better left unsaid.
That's fascinating. I like that.
Pretty interesting.
Good story.
But then here's a
maybe that's why your writer's block rolls in every once in a while to keep you from saying things you don't want to say.
right. The songs
Then all
that
those
don't
thoughts,
need to be sung.
those thoughts can go away, and then you move on to your better thoughts.
I like that. So one night, I'm driving home from Santa Fe to Nambe, and about halfway between Santa Fe and Nambe this is when
Halfway from Santa Fe to Nambe. Now that's a song right there.
there's an Allsup's in New Mexico. Allsup's is like the 7-Eleven in New Mexico. And they sell like chimichangas and they had stuff behind the counter. It's basically like a 7-Eleven. And this is when we were just broke musicians busking on the street for change and thanking God that Whoppers were 99 cents. It's like, all right, we got 2 Whoppers. And so we're all living together in a single wide trailer, David and Amy, the amusement. And so I'm on my vow of silence. I'm driving home from Santa Fe. Nambe is about 10 minutes north of Santa Fe. I stop in at the Allsup's, and I go in to order some chimichangas to bring home. So I write out on the note, 2 chimichangas, please. And I give it to the guy. And the guy just like sort of starts beaming at me, and he like suddenly just has all the sympathy for me. And he loads up a bag full of chimichangas and gives them to me and refuses to take the money. So I realize as I'm leaving, he thinks I'm deaf. And that endeared me to him. And he was trying to help me out because he felt sympathy for me.
He didn't pay for that. This motherfucker's deaf. Don't worry about it.
So I go back home. Dave and Amy are there. I got this bag full of chimichangas. We're rich. It's a feast tonight.
But did you say anything when you got there? When you got home, or you just walked in with a bag?
I walked in with a bag of chimneys and wrote out like, yeah, the guy just gave them to me. He thinks I'm deaf, I think, or something like that. So for the rest of my years, when I lived in New Mexico, every time I went into that Allsup's, and the guy just, even when I was no longer on my vow of silence, I would walk in and leave with a bag of chimichangas.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Well, I didn't ask for them. He just kept giving them to me.
That's so funny.
He thought you were gay, I think, not deaf.
That could be it.
Oh, my God. That's such a disappointing story.
Oh, sorry.
I love it.
You played that guy.
I just didn't want,
That's great.
I didn't know how to, yeah, I mean, I was young and I didn't go in, I don't know.
You didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I could
Yeah,
have.
he did. He lied.
No.
The
I could have
second
told him.
time he went in there, he was lying.
I could have written on a piece of paper, like,
I thought he was going to say he went back in and explained the situation.
Did you ever talk to him after that, or you always wrote Mr. Stein?
No, I thought you would have said that you had to pretend you were deaf the rest of the time you
I
lived
did.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Did he ever try to trick you, like when you were leaving, saying, "Hey,
Drop something,
you
see
turn
if
around.
I
Give me those chimichangas back." I'm calling 911 right now.
I'm sending you a bill for
I always felt very guilty about it. I never thought he was a chump. never once. I thought he was a really sweetheart, and I didn't want him to feel like his charity had been completely wasted on this broke musician.
That doesn't mean you had to take another order.
Well, I didn't. He just would give me stuff, and I would nod very gratefully and bow or whatever.
While he's standing there snapping his fingers to the music playing on the radio. Well, talking about a bag of food, I went to the food truck by our house.
Oh, did you try it?
And I got you recommended the spring rolls, delicious.
Perfect.
And I got the veggie.
What's the name of it again?
They changed the name.
It's
not Happy anymore. It used to be Happy Hibachi or.
All right.
Now it just says, the truck just says Hibachi Sushi.
It was so good though. Oh my god.
That's exciting. And they're always there, or just
They're
on
not always
Wednesdays?
there. They come and go.
No,
but
I got it on I came back from Stanton Jams on Saturday and was hungry and just walked by there, and there was a lot of people there too. There was
That's
like
cool.
10 people waiting to order food.
Oh, good. I walk there in the middle of the day, and they're just kind of setting up, and they don't usually have anybody there. And I'm ready to go hit them again.
Very high tech. They give you like a little beeper, and you just go wander around
really?
the parking lot. When your food's ready, it beeps, and you go pick it up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We
Did
went
they have
to
a
the-
menu?
Well, I just read it off the board.
Yeah, that's all they got is one on the side. They say you can take a picture. I need to do that.
I don't know if we talked about this on the show, but Catherine and I joined Mom and Don down at the Redbeard for the crab roll, lobster roll food truck. That was, it was so funny because this company appeared on Shark Tank. You ever watch Shark Tank?
Oh, yeah.
You like that show? I love that show for some reason.
Yeah, it's a good show.
But they appeared on Shark. We saw that episode of this food truck doing lobster rolls. It was on Shark Tank, and apparently, you know, they got the deal on Shark Tank, and they were a small little operation, but now they got hundreds of trucks, and this one was just in Stanton for the one day. But they've gotten big enough that they visited Stanton,
Was it
parked
good?
outside of Redbeard. It was delicious. It was tiny, and it was $20-some.
Wow.
I don't-
Yeah, this place gave me.
Mom asked me if I would order that, if I would get it again, and I was like, well, if you're buying. So it was $20-some for a little thing, but it was delicious.
Yeah, this food, whatever it's called, I ordered like a veggie teriyaki. The thing was huge, packed
Was it?
2 meals. Yeah. it was-
Oh,
That's
nice.
great. Yeah, I might go tomorrow.
That's cool. So no idea how often they're there. Or...
It seems to be like the day the place was open, the brewery was open, but they were in the back. Usually they're up near the front. I can't really, you know how I am. I'm too shy to even go look at it. I was so proud of myself for even stopping and ordering anything.
Well, good for you.
Oh,
I'd had a couple of drinks, so I was ready to order some food. I should have tried the old writing it down on a piece of paper thing. He heard the damn beeper going off. He came over here.
So when are you gonna start your novel?
Gosh.
Have you ever started your novel?
Oh, I've got more novels started than Herman Melville, probably. I just,
Have you
man,
ever
I'm
got-
the, I'm
how
the,
far-
I'm the
what's the
lazy.
farthest you've gotten in
I'm
one?
so lazy. I usually start a novel and I wrap it up real quick and call it a short story.
That works.
Yeah, so I've had a bunch of short stories published and like some little things I've done, but it's just it takes something I don't have to sit down and just carry it on for 200 pages.
I can relate to that. You ever tried a novel?
I don't have a novel. Yeah, I was talking about that today because I have an idea about where I'm going next with my writing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it happened accidentally. I was making a joke because I put something on Facebook, but you know, I never know. I don't want people to think I'm being autobiographical. I'm not talking about me. I'm making an observation. So at the bottom of this one, I put from my next book, Marino's Conversations.
All right.
And all that was a joke just to get me to tell people that wasn't my thoughts about that. That was a conversation I overheard. But I got to thinking about what a good book for me would be just that. You call it Marino's Conversations and go back into my journals because I can't write a novel, much less, I can't write a short story, much less a novel. I have trouble. What I'm good at is about 2/3 of a paragraph, and I try to capture everything in that, not a novel in 2/3 of a paragraph,
Right.
and those are overheard. I can make that in the form of a conversation, and so these little tidbits of philosophy or a joke, you know, just something, an observation,
Right.
something to think about.
A poem.
You know, a poem could be a poem.
You should write those things like they have for Shakespeare. What are those things you buy, those little yellow books? Where they break Shakespeare down to 30 pages.
Cliff notes.
Yeah, you should just write novel forms of Cliff Notes. The longest novel I've ever worked on, it drove everybody that I told about it crazy, but I had the best fun writing on it. It was like 4 characters, and like 3 of them all had the same name. So it was like Kyle. So it was just Kyle did this and Kyle did that. And then I remember my wife would say, well, which one? I'm like, I don't even know. I just put Kyle. So it's like, and Kyle said to Kyle, and then Kyle got in the car. Like, so you're reading it, and it's all these characters, you know, they're all different, but you can't figure it out by the way it's written, like which one's doing it. And I was like to be sitting there writing it and laughing, because like, you could just have Kyle's doing everything, you know, and they would never know. My wife used to say, God, this is a losing battle right here. Like, nobody's going to. And then Kyle yelled at Kyle, I will go get you, you know.
That's funny. Well, one of the things about this that I thought about while you were saying that was in terms of how the format, I have trouble with when I write stuff of is it a male or a female? Is it coming from the male point of view or the female? Well, or is it coming from the gay male or the lesbian female? You know, there's all these different views it could be. But I don't like to tell someone who's reading my stuff. That's why I don't like to read my own stuff.
Because you know too much?
That's one reason I don't. Because I want you to be able to define the sex of the character yourself. Because it could be, you know, most conversations theoretically could be other way, but in other words, sometimes the male might sound like the female, but you know, if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel. But so I don't like to put a sexual, so he and shit, she. Or
And what pronouns do you go by? He and shit. If
you can't say he or she, you just say shit. That's all. I'm tired. I'm
Check.
sorry.
Check.
That's a check.
Well, it's so funny writing because one of the best ways I found to write, like a friend of mine figured this out. If I'm writing with somebody else, I write better. Like if I write like 10 pages and then sent, I used to write for this magazine, and they said y'all should write a story together. Neither one of you has the gas to go all the way, but if you can just get from town to town, you know, you drive for 30 minutes, you drive for like we can make it. So me and a friend had a story that like we didn't even know. We just started off, and he would write, and I'd have to write on it, and we had a good time. And then a friend of mine was a really good writer, was writing. He decided we were going to do the same thing. And man, I was having the best time. But then in his part, he was talking about the female character, and he went into detail about her putting makeup on and stuff. And I was like, oh man, I just can't. I mean, my wife, like, she probably wore makeup, but she was never like, you know, if we were going out, she wouldn't be like, let me go put makeup on. So when he threw the whole thing off, like, oh my God, no, I can't even write about some woman that's in there getting all, you know, dolled up, ready to go. I was like, no, just put your shirt and your pants on, let's go. And so when he put that part, and I tried to write the next one, I was like, all right, I can't identify with this woman anymore. And it was like heartbreaking. I didn't want to tell him, I'm just going to delete all your part. So I just stopped writing. He's like, what's wrong? I was like, oh, I just lost. I can't do it anymore. Just how a little bump like that.
I would think that would be
throw
extremely
you off.
hard no matter what.
Right.
But it was because we didn't have to continue the flow. We could, like, the best thing about, like, I'm sure for you too, the best thing is like that first that spark, and it gets you going. That spark could get me going for 10 pages. Then I'd be like, whatever.
That's all you need to write a country song.
So, right, so I'd mail it off, and my friend would write 10 pages, and I would read his, and it would light that spark again, and he'd get going. But when somebody gives you a spark that doesn't light anything,
spark,
I know, you're like, and it wasn't bad writing. The character just went to like this character is not in my.
It went to a place you didn't identify with.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So are you thinking about doing more of the Marinos conversations?
Yeah.
As a format?
I can go back into my journals and I can pick out things like the beginning of a short story, you know, or a poem. I can see where it came from. And, you know, and some of them are just your remembering a story, and they're just memories, and some are creative. They're chegs.
Yeah.
Now, was your cat thing, was that totally make-believe, or that had
That was
some...
based on stories I'm hearing from friends of mine dealing with their cats.
Okay.
And how expensive they are. And how much trouble they are, and you know.
And Dad's a bird lover, so he's never been a big fan of cats. That's
yeah,
why some friends are giving you some grief, like, oh yeah, it's fiction.
Well, yeah, they could take that angle. I mean, I understand cats. I don't dislike cats. I just don't. You know, they're predators, and I don't want them predating on my yard, in my yard, on my birds. But if you want a cat in your house, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. But I did have some good points in that article about, you know, like dogs, I get it. I mean, that's just total faith. They just love you and they're obedient and they do all these things to tell you they love you. They just look at you and they love you. Cats just ignore the shit out of you. They don't. I mean, you got to respect them. I respect the heck out of that, but
Right.
I don't see why you fall for it. I don't. There's something going on there that I don't get, and that goes back to my disliking them when I was a little kid. I mean, we had cats, and I liked cats all right, but
You had a cat growing up?
yeah, we had different cats, and I had a lot of cats out in the country. They kept the mice down, so they were indoor, outdoor. So
Oh, when you
I lived out
older.
in
Right.
Frank's Mill. Not, older, definitely older.
Yeah. Yeah, then their predatory nature's a big asset when you got
Yeah,
mice and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they had a function, and I tried to keep them from going out so much. Keep them fed on the mice in the kitchen. But yeah,
Did you have a childhood dog that was a loyal companion?
we had several dogs.
But you didn't necessarily.
Not me personally. They were all family dogs. I guess it might have been Vicky or Mom, or they had a run of Pekingese, and some of them weren't that nice animals. They're yappy dogs. Didn't have much respect for them. They were, some of them were nice, but some of them were mean. I don't know. But
What was Fudgy?
Fudgy was just
Was that a Pekingese?
No, he was a short-haired dog, and I don't know. He's a mutt.
That was Vicky's dog, right?
Well, it was
I'm trying to remember who's.
He was a family dog.
Fudgy was?
Yeah.
I remember
I
Fudgy.
liked Fudgy. He lived with Mom and Dad for a long time. He was a very harmless animal. Yeah, pets are wonderful.
Now, did you have pets before you settled down here in Stanton? Did you, like when you were traveling a lot, did you have pets that you would have to get somebody to watch while you were gone for 6 months on tour?
Well, the amusement really, we were like a old school band of gypsies. I remember when I first met Dave and Amy in Austin, Texas, and we all decided to move to Santa Fe together. They one of their dogs just had puppies, so it was the three of us and like 12 dogs moving to New Mexico together. And I took one of the puppies, and Amy kept one of the puppies, and then there was the actual 2 dogs that they had to begin with. And for 10 years or something, we toured, always had our dogs with us. Frog was a road dog for a lot of years. I had a dog named Blake, was the puppy that I took from that initial move. And we were sort of known for that. And we'd have to sneak them into festivals, sneak them into hotels, all kinds of stories about how we're getting the dogs in where they're not supposed to
Right, that's cool.
Wow.
More lies.
Right. Hell yeah. Life of crime that we lived back then.
I found some pictures a couple days ago when I packed the final move, when I'd driven all the U-Haul trucks, I had all my shit down here, but then when I was coming by myself to move down here, and it was me and the 4 dogs and the cat in the car, and I got some pictures, and man, they were probably thinking, what the heck are we doing? Everybody get in their car, we're going for a ride. They're like, the longest they ever been was like to the dog park or something.
4 dogs?
4 dogs and a cat, and I took a bunch of pictures of us before we took off, and it was like, oh my God, they were probably like,
What happened to them?
they were just passed away over the years.
Oh, wow. You don't have any pet now.
No, it was
right?
like he was down there like a week or 2 ago, and some lady walked by. Where's your dog? I was like, damn, lady, the dog's been dead. But she's like, I used to see you walking all over town with them. I think for a while, because I lived near the park, I was known as like the dog guy, because I always had the 4 dogs going crazy. Wow. So people that walk by, like, where's your dog? It's like, God, why's everybody gonna bring it up every time you see me?
You thought about getting another pet?
He was very sweet. He said we should get one together, and he'd walk down in the daytime and pick up all the dog poo.
You know, we get, I was thinking about that the other day, getting a rescue dog. And
That would be fun.
we could share it.
He could become part of the cast. Y'all could bring him over for the shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, get one of them small little small guys that'll just sit on somebody's lap the whole time.
There you go, the lap dog.
You know?
You know what I do? I've always had a like for corgis.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
my
I've
goodness.
always
Wait,
liked.
what's a corgi?
Well, they're a little Welsh dog, and they're a short-bodied dog. They're little. They're like a beagle in a dachshund's shape, and they're thicker. They're little, but they have nice eyes, and I like their personality.
Is that what you call a hound?
No.
Wait till you see
It's
this.
like fancy looking.
Yeah,
So cute.
corgis are cute. They're like spaniels.
Oh my gosh, they are cute. Do we want to start with a puppy picture or?
Sure, start with a puppy picture.
Start with some pictures from the Stanton SPCA if you can.
But you know, there are a lot of these rescued animals that, well, there are. I'm not saying right. They're rescue animals, for sure, but there are also animals that are trained to help with older people.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we could get one of those, and you know, I could walk it for a few years, and then it'll walk me.
It is so. When just from I've just from being a diabetic, you read about these dogs that can train. Like if you're going into a diabetic, low sugar or something, they wake you up.
All right. Oh my goodness! Stop it. That's a corgi.
Yeah, they're a good dog.
But my pets could always do that. Like if I was in bed, like having low blood sugar, they'd be like pressing on me and trying to get me up.
Oh, just any dog.
Well, it's like I think it's just like if the dog knows you well enough, it's sort of
Yeah, they know when you're in trouble. They know when they're not going to get fed if you die.
Well, I remember one time. I remember one time we had a big party, and my wife went to bed, and I'd fallen asleep on the floor in the living room, and she said in the middle of the night, we had 3 cats in, they were just going crazy, and she came, and 2 of them were just sitting on my chest, just like cat going crazy. And I was totally unconscious and diabetic, you know, low blood sugar. She had to call the ambulance and stuff. And she said, I would have never known if the cats hadn't been sitting there, like, just screaming, you know, like,
Oh, wow.
something's wrong, something's wrong, yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. Where did you get an affinity for corgis?
Just growing up, I've always liked them. I've had a couple friends have had them, and I mean, I know them. I've never had one, but I've known a few. They can be yappers, but I think you can train them not to be.
I wonder if, like, with the rescue dogs, if you can take them home on a trial basis.
I know there's some programs that do that.
Yeah.
That would.
Some of them you just kind of rent, you just bring home and to give them a place
Yeah.
for now, like if they're homeless,
A
just
halfway house.
to help them out.
One of the dogs we got was from a rescue,
wow.
and they made us bring the other dogs to make sure they'd get along. And so we had 3 dogs in, we took it to this rescue place, and the dog we were going to get was a big old hound, came up like to here on me. Big, it was just quiet, and it was just so timid, we're like, is it all right? Like, yeah, it's just very shy, And our dogs basically just ignored it, they didn't know what's going on. So we get it home, we're like, oh, hope it livens up. The first thing it does is it runs on the sofa, grabs a pillow, we open the back door, just runs out like, I'm free! We're just running with one of the pillows off the sofa. We're like, damn, that dog tricked us so bad. Like, we couldn't even slow it down.
It's a whole thing. They do, like, win you over at the place, but they're not showing their true personalities. It's hard to pick.
Yeah.
You never know till you spend some time with them.
True.
I do like the looks of these corgis. When you get a chance, Swaby just shared a great picture of Frog on the Discord. Oh my goodness. We got to get you guys a corgi. We need a corgi on the show.
Those are corgi friends. Those guys are like besties.
Oh, Elizabeth's in here. Yes, you can foster dogs for a minute until they find their forever homes.
But how do you do that? How do you not?
Joe and Elliot say hello.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe and Elliot.
Joe. Hey,
Hey,
Elliot.
Joe and Elliot.
Oh, Elizabeth missed the unveiling of the painting, but at least
no.
it's forever on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it.
We
love
love
it
it.
so
We
much.
love it. It's
Thank you.
wonderful.
Can you see it?
Thank you.
I don't know if it's on the camera angle, but it's a part of our set.
Very
Yeah.
Proud to have it. It's so awesome.
The bear even performed a little bit.
Oh yeah,
You have to watch it
that's
later.
That's Frog there. He was a great road dog. Here, I
Oh,
can show it to
wow.
you closer here.
Oh yeah, that's like a road dog. Oh, cool.
I know Frog well.
Yeah,
Frog
He's
used to
pretty.
go
I
on.
like his color.
he was a
Frog used to
such
go
a
on
cool
walks
dog.
with me.
Cool. I'm just looking
Oh,
at Frog
man.
now. Sorry.
God, I've read something. Dogs can give you the best years of your life and the worst day of your life. Like when they pass away, like nothing worse than having a good dog pass away. Like, oh man, it's just, oh.
yeah.
It's like having a kid pass away. Like, no, I should die before this dog.
I mean,
does.
it's such a, like it's just something you're signing up for
Yeah.
the moment you
Oh,
get
yeah.
one, like because we live a lot longer than
Yeah,
they do.
every time we used to go get one, we'd have to say, don't think logically, Don't think that this dog will be gone in 10 years. Just be thankful for the next 10 years.
Right.
Well, I think we need to do that with everything.
Yeah.
But it's like like they say, like there's nothing where like it's just so wrong that your child would ever die before you. Like
Right.
that's like an archetypal known human tragedy. But with a pet, you're just agreeing to
Right.
experience
Right.
that. That's but it's worth it. I mean, it's just the nature of the thing.
Yeah, oh my gosh. All right, we're going back to my depression again.
Giving Dad diarrhea.
That's not right. That's why people don't talk about that shit.
But I'm bummed. I know that I've had depression that didn't cause diarrhea, but I don't know about the inverse. I think diarrhea has almost made me depressed every single time.
The inverse is like a river.
I've got diarrhea. I've got diarrhea, and I feel like going out and having a good time. Let's go.
I feel skinny. I feel cute. Might go live later.
Right. Or I might shit on myself. I don't know.
Wait. Pull the car over to this gas station. I gotta go.
Never mind.
A friend of mine, if he's watching, he won't care. But this guy, he's just like he's an older guy, wild man, has had a lot of problems. But they were
Good setup.
they were coming from Richmond one time, and he's like, "Man, I got diarrhea. You got to find like a gas station and pull over." So she pulled in to a gas station. It was like, I can't. I know which gas station it was. But I can't describe it. But anyway, so she pulls in, and he thought she was gonna stop so he could jump out, but she just slowed down to look for a place to go. So he starts to jump out of the car, and one foot's on the ground, and she keeps driving, so his foot's in the car. So she drives, and he's shitting himself. He's got diarrhea so bad. So she's dragging him on the side in the parking.
That's
New definition for skid marks.
He's screaming like, stop the car. She's like, I didn't know you were gonna jump out. So
I like your ending for that. So
So if you think you have it bad, just imagine being drugged to a gas station parking lot while you're shitting yourself. Your depression will go away after that. You'll thank goodness it wasn't you.
Oh man.
Well, I read something this week like you'll even if you're not religious, you'll never pray to God more than when you go to a friend's house and clog their toilet. Like you're like, oh please God, please God, go down, please God, please go down.
Have you done that?
At a friend's house?
Oh gosh, when the water's rising, that.
I went to this guy doesn't work anymore, but I went into the bathroom at work like a couple of months ago, and we have one urinal, a stall, and the door was open, and this guy it was like a new guy, stepped back, and he had the plunger in his hand. There was water everywhere, and the look on his face of like horror, and he said, "Oh man, I don't know what to do." I was like, "Oh, it's all you." I just walked out of there like I wanted to say, let the guy just solve the problem. Like he was so embarrassed, but he was just standing with the thing like, I don't know what to do. I was like,
Aw.
you might want to watch your diet before you come in here, you know.
Aw.
I remember when we were in Colorado one time visiting, and we had been drinking, and I had like the beer shit, so we stopped at somebody's house, and I went in there, and there was like, 3 rolls of toilet paper on the roll. After I've already gone, I'm like, oh crap.
Oh, you mean 3 squares?
Yeah, and I'm like opening all their drawers, like there's gotta be toilet paper in here somewhere. Like tearing the toilet paper as small as you possibly can. Like, please let me get through here. And I'm in there like way too long, They're probably like, he's smoking crack in there or something. And I just can't yell like, hello strangers, where's your toilet paper? Like,
So what'd you do?
I think that's when I was like a half dirty ass and went. I didn't know what to do.
You just pretend you're a decent person and walk out of there. God damn. Yeah.
I was just thankful the toilet didn't clog. There wasn't enough toilet paper in there to make any difference. Yeah, those are bad feelings. Well, God, when you're torn on the road all the time, you gotta go to the bathroom. There must be some horror stories about that.
There's some horror stories on stage even. Not that I have, but that I've heard.
You probably played like crappy clubs. You gotta go take a dump in some nasty old club bathroom or something. Oh.
Yeah.
All right, people, if you haven't been paying attention, now's the time to pay attention. Send us in your own doo-doo stories.
Kyle's ass is on fire. That's what they say in the chat. And yes, Heather Frog was an incredible dog. I remember when our neighbor out in the country, it was such a weird story because I never saw a bad side to Frog ever, but this guy said he almost shot him. He said he almost shot Frog, and he said that it was such a weird story because he said Frog bared his teeth at him and was growling at him, and that he almost shot him because of it. But I'm like putting the pieces together in my mind. I'm like, well, you were armed, he had a gun on him, and was about to shoot him. It's a Chegg.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a Chegg moment right there.
Exactly.
Good sound effect.
God, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So why did he even tell you that? Just to put a fear of it?
Oh, to tell me to control my dog, that I almost lost him, to keep him off his property.
If you ever see me walking around your neighborhood with a gun, you better keep that dog away from me. So did Frog move? Did he live?
But it was
long enough to come to
it was so
stand?
mystifying to me because I'd never ever seen Frog be aggressive to
Right.
anybody, And there's always that thing with dogs where, like, if a dog has a bad reaction to somebody, you tend to trust the dog.
Oh,
You're just
yeah.
like, well, there must be something wrong with that person, for better or worse.
No, did Frog pass away from old age, or somebody picked him up at a festival?
Actually, I was on the road with Surprise Me, Mr. Davis, and he was staying with a friend on that trip in New Mexico, and while I was away, got hit by a car. He would roam. He would run off, and we'd be like, "Well, he'll be back," and he would always come back. and that day didn't come back. You know, it's sort of a interesting side story to that was the night that Frog died, and I found out about it. We were playing in Philadelphia, I think it was, at 10 something, not 10 Pan Alley. I forget, it was some play on that or something. But strangely enough, I feel, and it is recorded. I think people can find it online. But that was the best I ever played with those guys. I feel like, because I was just so broken open by that news and just so devastated.
You had heard already, wasn't it?
I had heard.
Okay.
And none of my normal concerns, my ego worries, how am I doing? You know, I'm so intimidated by these musicians I'm playing with, always was, and always trying to, you know, just so my internal dialogues and stuff like, oh, how am I doing? Like, oh, I'm doing good, or I'm not doing good, or whatever it was. And like all that was just gone. I was just like letting the music heal me, and I just think that's there's something profound there.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that same word, profound.
There's a lot of opera singers and stuff that talked about like the best performance of their life. They were sick, or there was, you know, like they had hurt their foot or something that you would think would completely throw you off your game, but actually it gave you this new presence and took you out of your ego in such a way that enabled you to shine in a way that you never had before, and you'll never forget that. But if you hear enough of those stories, the best performance I ever did, it usually is followed by, and I couldn't believe it because I had the worst pneumonia, or like just some interesting thing like that.
Something that causes you to focus in a way that you couldn't focus before, that directs it into a certain area more acutely. So you were feeling everything more.
Do you think athletics has some of that to it?
I was definitely seeing an analogy there.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do for recreation is to try to predict how basketball or basketball, or how a player is going to play in that particular game. And there's a whole lot of that. Psychology is part of it, but it's also a feeling that you get. Why are they playing tonight? And there's certain players that, you know, they'll just get pissed off about something. You see it all the time, where something focused in what, you know, and some of these guys will cause a problem just to get their energy focused.
Right.
It helps them focus if they're an asshole or so, you know, or they do certain things to try to create that focus. But it's all the same thing of what can cause you to. Whereas, you know, you're talking about a championship game. There's a million reasons not to be focused. They're all things that say focus on me, but the net result is you can get confused. And I think what I heard you saying about your performance that night was it was totally focused, because none of that other stuff means anything compared to what you were feeling inside about the loss that you were suffering. So that, you know, I can see how the players, they talk about getting in the zone. It's just a question of focus,
Right.
of being able to focus at that moment. One of the best lines I heard about that in terms of athletics was, I can't remember the Ray Knight, I think it might have been, was a third baseman, the manager, but I think he said, hitting is an act of that cannot be done while you're thinking. You can't be thinking about hitting and be able to hit. And I'm sure there's a musical and a,
Right,
and a
right.
performance
Absolutely.
level. If you start thinking about it, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And
Lead,
and I think it's you know, the whole idea of focusing and that's pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
to think about how you can do that.
That's what I've been trying to do with my nightly live streams that I've been calling the practice. I even started lighting a candle or whatever to help me really focus. And a lot of the things going on in my mind is like someone trying to meditate, where they're like intrusive thoughts will come and you just have to like not hold on to them and let them go. And to be purely present and just all in the music is really way more difficult than you would imagine.
Sure.
It is so easy to get caught up in like good or bad, just like, oh, I'm liking this thing my hands. The moment you like the thing your hand's doing, your hand is about to fall off. Like there's no way to like it and do it at the same time.
My fingers are turned to cinder blocks. I don't know why.
Or vice versa. You know,
Right.
it's just so hard to just simply be present and in the song. But when you do achieve that state, there's this grace that is so healthy, so refreshing.
I hear that. That's lovely.
That's the goal. We did it again, folks. 8:30
We
sharp.
got
Gosh.
AG tech support.
Oh,
in
right.
there,
Oh, the 10
with
Angel, thank you.
The 10 Angel with the link.
With a link for people to hear it.
I'm looking at a pretty strong set list here, that's for sure.
What is the set list?
So this was March 3rd. By the
It was a
way,
great rolling home that night.
2004.
We
and
rarely played that song.
Rolling Home apparently opened the show. If these
Wow.
songs, I'm assuming these songs are in the order. So Rolling Home opened the show. Yeah.
I'd like to hear that.
There's a notable 16-minute long Yellow Medicine.
All right.
Okay, so
That's the slip.
okay.
Yeah, like back in the early days of Davis, like we would surprise each other by disappearing for a second.
And be like,
and,
"Oh, okay."
and when I disappeared, it was the slip up there. It's like
And you guys played Tin Can Coffee.
we turn
Cup
around,
with this
Andrew wouldn't be
appropriate-
behind the drums. He'd be up in the balcony. What are you guys gonna like? Surprising each other was such an MO. It was our
Oh, that's
modus
great.
operandi.
It's awesome.
Love it.
Great shouters that night. There's a version of the shouters from that night that's on YouTube.
Yeah, so we got Rolling Home, Talkin' Walkin' Round Town Blues,
Oh,
Before
wow.
You Were Born, To You, Hollywood, The Shouters, Predicting the Rain, You Don't Have to Say You're Sorry Till You Go, Mardi Gras Song, No Hurry to Get to Heaven, My Room, Yellow Medicine, Tin Can Coffee Cup, Sometimes There's Wine, Summer of My Fall, and Counting Sheep.
Wow.
Whew,
Yep.
that was a good night.
It's a good set.
Damn right.
Looks like it clocks in.
And
at
now he's
right
going to
around-
recreate it for you.
Just
Just do
under,
that whole set.
I guess it's just under 2 hours long, man. You guys give them their money's worth.
Gosh, I don't know what song to play now. Definitely have lots of songs about dogs. Oh, man. That's a tough one. Earlier, I was thinking I should do Dear Puppeteer just because of your complaining. Like, I'm just going to complain. Just like,
What were some of the songs you were playing when this painting was first started?
I don't know, all of them, except for the new ones.
I haven't heard Rolling Home for a while.
Hey, now.
No?
No.
He's got to adjust his harmonica. For
Yeah, that would be a different harmonica. Oh, man.
But that
All the
one,
options.
there's one that you said earlier tonight, Death
Oh, my death
Comes
comes a calling. She'll be my bride, the prettiest one I've seen in my lifetime.
Wow.
I'm going to have to,
Yeah,
to
that's
revamp
you
that.
ought to
one
dig
for
that sucker out. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
someone requested this the other night on my live stream, and it was on my latest record, Holler and Hope, but I could not remember how to play it to save my life because there's all these made-up chords in it and stuff. And so I had to relearn it, and I played the record, and I couldn't figure it out from the record. I almost just sent it to Brad Barr and said, can you tell me what chords I'm playing on this because I can't figure it out. But I opened up the original recording session and soloed the guitar and would just loop all the chords I couldn't understand and pick it out note by note to try to reconstruct the chord to learn the song. So
Wow.
I think I'll give that one a shot here. Once the sun hides its eyes beneath the star, beneath the moon and the starry skies, that's when I rise at night. The world is mine. When the town is sound asleep, that's when I laugh, that's when I weep, oh, for going deep at night. The world is mine. I awoke in a land of dreams, stuffed and sewed along the seams. All my life, this is how I feel, and I have no idea now if I'm real. When the din of the city pales next to the song of the nightingales, oh, it never fails at night. The world is mine. Once the blue is turned to black, after love has had its heart attack, I pull the curtains back at night. The world is mine. I awoke in a land of dreams, stuffed and sewed along the seams. All my life, this is how I feel, and I have no idea now if I'm real.
Very nice.
It might not have been the best summarizing of the show, but it's fun to solidify that song back in my pocket.
Wow.
I said the other night on the show, it's like, you guys have made me a much more formidable force out there in the world. I feel so much more dangerous with all these songs in my pocket again, because I had really forgotten how a lot of them went, and I really remembered how a lot of them went, how a lot of them go. now, which feels really
I heard
good.
some good
Oh,
ones.
we haven't said goodbye. I was thinking we were talking over the credits. Oh, love you so much. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Dad. Thank you,
Wonder when
Kyle.
this was invented.
Thank you, Lex.
Was this invented recently?
It's a pretty new invention.
Caitlin Clark was out of
Now, if I do that, because of the new Macintosh and my new computer, if I go like this on my screen, on the show, hearts pour out of my hand. Technology these days. It happened by accident. I went like this one night, and all of a sudden this cartoon thumb appeared on the screen. And then I did some research, and it's like, oh yeah, use hand gestures. If you go like that, hearts just start flooding from the inside of it.